Season 2, Episode 6, lead generation and how to freaking nail it. We have got an expert. JP, thank you so much for joining us. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Chris. How are you, my mate?
I'm good. You know that we've had some brilliant people on and we've talked about omnipresence and more importantly, omnichannel, right? So I've turned it with the rest of them and gone, this is your topic. And then we've gone into it. I know that you're going to kind of piece the bits together for me. So if you're in Birmingham, Belfast, Bogna Regis, and you don't have a lead gen plan, you're not sure what to do, JP, talk to me. How do we go and implement one?
Cool. So there's a couple of things to this. One is the actual lead generation, which is effectively marketing. And then the other thing is the sales optimization. So, you know, for everyone else who doesn't know this, marketing gets the phone to ring. Sales is what happens when you're on the phone, like conversions, etc. So the first thing I would say is it's all about the data. And I know everybody said, probably loads of people rolling their eyes at the minute, but it absolutely is. It's all about, you know, where the leads are coming from, your conversions, you know, the return on investment, all sorts of stuff. But very, very high level. And there's a lot of real good experts. I know you've had, you know, Chris Watkin on, Chris Kiriakou. You've had some really, really great guys on who specialize in one particular area, digital marketing or content or email marketing, direct mail with Sam. And they're all right. Every single one is absolutely right because that is their chosen field and their chosen profession. What I would say, what I will say is that you need a full-on marketing strategy. So digital mail is a tactic. Content is a tactic. You know, Facebook leads, Google is a tactic. A strategy is very much higher level.
One of my favorite quotes, JP, is tactics without strategy is the war cry before defeat, from a book called The Art of War, which wouldn't surprise me if you read. Yeah, right. Yeah, and it's that whole, unless your strategy, which links to your goals, is in situ, you're just throwing stuff out. And we as agents, I'm an agent, my wife's an agent, so I'm not bad-mouthing agents. We are poor at consistency, right? Yeah. And if something doesn't work, we try it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then we go, oh, screw that, I'm going to try digital marketing. Oh, screw that, I'm going to try door knocking. It has to be omni-channel, and it has to be the whole time. And arguably, it has to be, in my view, the majority of the day, or at least the first half.
Totally agree. I mean, when I had my agency, you know, I used to say to the guys, you know, your job is lead generation. All I want you to is generate the leads, and everybody else mops up after. So when you're coming up with a strategy, so say we actually know who our avatar is, who our ICP, ideal customer profile, we know where they hang out, we know all that. You know, how many sort of marketing tactics can we put in to try and do the leads? Because, you know, people who talk about digital marketing is great, but that's not everybody. People who talk about, you know, lumpy mail and hard print, great, but that's not everybody. It's a little bit like, why do you get a paper and it's got the news section, it's got the business section, it's got the gossip section, and everybody flicks through it? Because certain people are attracted to certain marketing tactics. So that's why you have to do, you use them all. So, you know, you've got how many letters do you send out? Where do you send them out? You've got your digital marketing, you're on Google, you're on Facebook, if you start a TikTok. And wherever these leads come from, that's where they need to be measured. And that's the trick to doing it. But you hit the nail on the head there, Chris. It's all about consistency. Consistency is the superpower of any business. If you do things consistent, even to a poor standard compared to someone who's inconsistent, but a great standard, you'll walk all over them every day of the week.
Okay, so I'm going to throw you a curveball here. What is one lead gen tactic that you did in your old business that had one of the surprisingly highest return on investments when you did it?
Handwritten letters.
Fine. Don't go into it unless you've got a tip, only because we've done the other episode with Sam. So I'm going to plug here. Go and listen to our other.
So in fact, I will say, don't think like an estate agent, think like a sales psychologist or behavioral scientist. Absorb, read, Google, YouTube, everything you can about sales psychology. Understand, for example, you know, we used to call it the marketing letter. So when we used to handwrite a letter, we didn't say, dear sir, we have noticed your house is on the market. It's beautiful. We would write things like coming from a different place. You know, hi there, notice your house is on the market. It hasn't been on the market a while. I've got a couple of marketing suggestions that might get your house sold quicker. Here they are, and just bang, bang, bang. What you're doing is you're not saying the agent shit. You're not saying you've made a bad choice choosing that agent. You are saying, look, here you go. There you go. And I'd say this, and I'd name them and say, you know, you're on with your current agent, Chris Butler, who's a great agent. Please take these suggestions to him, or just give us a shout. I've got a few more. And then we'd put a little bit more bump in. That was such a high return on investment.
And what's incredible there is I know that they're then going to go to the agent and go, "Hi, Chris Butler from the estate agency. Can you do this?" And I'm going to go, "No, I'm not doing that," because and all of a sudden they then get pissed off with Chris Butler from the estate agency because I'm not doing it, and then they come back to you. So it's clever. And you're right about, we try and use no estate agency language, right? Valuing in your, I don't like when your neighbours is thinking of selling versus valuing in your street, right? All of that stuff. And we're going to build a big module out on that. Okay, so thank you for that tactic that I curveballed you with. So we've got to be consistent. We've got to be omnipresent. We've got to be thinking non-like estate agents and in sales psychology. When the phone rings, then surely if we've just got the gift of the gab and a bit of a gregarious nature, the lead should maybe come from kind of conversations, or am I getting that completely wrong?
Well, it comes from two things. It comes from inbound and outbound. So inbound, effectively, that they're motivators. They're motivated to phone you because they've clearly seen your boards or recommendation. Outbound, they're less motivated. So you've almost got to work a little bit harder on outbound. Inbound, they're ready to make it. They're ready because they wouldn't have called you if they weren't. What I would say is optimize your chances. Everybody, well, I say everyone, all agents know they should be picking up the phone and calling out and dialing the database. As Stevie Brown talks about, it's your gold mine. But not a lot of agents do that. I would say 7, 8 out of 10 don't do that. And out of the 1 or 2 that do it, no one optimizes their chances, their prospecting strategy.
So let's say I find the time because I'm so busy. I got these completions going on. I got this tough exchange. Let's say I find the time and I'm going to consistently outbound to my database for 6 months. I've committed to my manager or myself or my wife or my partner, whatever. What do I say? Because I just ring up and go, "Hi, I'm your agent. You haven't heard from me for a little while. Do you want to sell? Do you know anyone looking?" Like, what do I sell? What do I say?
That's the first issue. You found the time. So that tells me, and I know it was just a daft example.
No, but I'm really busy.
Well, that's the thing. Your first thing in your diary should be lead gen. Everything else goes around it. So it's not that you found the time. You've always had the time. You just didn't find it a priority. And that's the problem.
That's gold.
Yeah, you've got to prioritize this. And I used to say, I don't care if you're on the phone and the roof falls down, you finish your prospecting session and then you calmly exit the business, exit and go to the spot. So that goes in first, everything else goes around it. Now, you've got to think things like your hook. So it's when you're picking up the phone and you're calling. Every reason, people don't mind talking when you've got a reason to talk. So, hi, it's Chris from the Estate Agency UK. Just let you know, we sold you, or we used to manage your house. We've sold your house previously. It's been a while now, blah, blah, blah. And you've got a way in. So all we used to say is, look, have a reason or a hook to call them, have the conversation like you do every day of the week and have a close. And the close, we want to get across a few things. So you're asking for permission. It's called micro affirmations. It's effectively like, is it okay if I phone you back in 3 to 4 months? Oh, and one more thing before I go, Chris, we've got this amazing little database newsletter. It's not a hard sell. Can I add you to that? That is gold dust, because if you then are not phoning for another 3 or 4 months, you've emailed them every week for 12 weeks. So they're expecting your call. Another tip is, if you're saying, hi, it's Chris from Estate Agency UK. I won't take up too much of your time. Guess what? Don't take up too much of the time. What a lot of people try and do is they say, I'll be on the phone for 20 minutes because I'm building rapport. You're not. You're pissing them off. Don't get me wrong. If you've got little Ethel and she's crying on her shoulder because her husband's died and been married 50, of course, you've got to play the game. But if you say you're going to be quick, be quick. Because what happens if you phone back in 3 months' time and they say, oh, Christ, it's Chris. You had us on the phone for half an hour. So be very quick.
We've all got that one mate, right, where you think, I'm in for the long way. I'm going for a walk for half hour.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and with that, you've got to measure things. Now, measure the things that you wouldn't normally. So the time that you called, the length of time that you're on the phone, if you can, the type of hook, the reason that you're calling. Is it an appraisal? Is it is because it's a landlord. Different people have different strengths. Not everybody's amazing at phoning up appraisals or past valuations or withdrawn properties or current landlords. So understand where your strengths and weaknesses are depending on what the business you're trying to get. Understand why and try and improve it.
So I'm listening to this. I'm watching it as an agent, right? And I'm going, I like what JP says. I understand where he's coming from. I'm not going to make the time. I'm going to reprioritize, right? I'm going to have an omnipresent strategy, which links to my goals. So I am going to be outbound calling my database every day for an hour a day between 10 and 11. I'm going to do that. I'm going to measure it. What are 5 top? Because whilst I would argue if you haven't ever engaged your database, it's still a cold call, even though you got their details. Not as cold as a cold call. What are 5 topics I could speak to them about so it's not like a weird opener or intro to them?
Yeah, so again, it sort of kind of depends on the reason that you're calling them in the first place. So if somebody,
give me the reason, sorry, because I don't know why I'm phoning them now because I haven't engaged with them.
Yeah, exactly. So say you've gone through your database and you sold the house 3 years ago, right? So you can talk about, oh wow, I can't believe it's 3 years since we sold your house. House prices have gone up X, Y, Z. Are you thinking of moving? Are you looking at moving? Can we come out and give you a free valuation? Blah blah blah. If it's a landlord, you can talk about how you keeping up to date with the Rent Reform Act or bill. Did you know this? Did you know that? How are you getting on? Is the tenant still there? Is there any arrears? Free compliance health check, health and safety check, anything just to get your foot in the door. Yep. And normally people like talking about property or people like talking about themselves. So there's a really good guy, I'm forgetting his name, he's that good. He's a little Italian guy and he talks about cold selling. He's a little salesman. And if
I told you it's a cold call, would you throw your phone out the window?
He's brilliant. But the reason you could bring that type of thing into the thing is how because he talks about like or if you flip on your head, I would start talking about how's your tenant getting on, the best tenant ever, or do you need any help with your tenants, or so he gets into the nitty gritty of it. He tries to inject a little bit of humor into it as well. So
we were out this last week door knocking, going, if I told you I was on a estate agent, would you slam the door in my face? And it was amazing how many people that just their guard dropped because they knew, you're not a salesman, you're not someone trying to sell a religion or whatever, and actually they're like, well, my house is on the market, and you disarm them straight away. We didn't get onto the podcast on door knocking about turning up with a coffee in your hand so you're not seen as a threat, and so all of that stuff. But he's so good, and I use it when I outbound contact agents. If I told you this was a cold call, would you hang up on me? And they always laugh, right? And then you got them so it's working out, I guess, what was unique and works for you, but have a reason, right? And if you can't think of any, chat GPT.
Well, look, if you think about it, it's like, what was the nervous thing? I mean, I'm happily married. I know you're happily married, but think back when we were young, free, daft, and single. What was the scary thing about going and talk to a woman for the first time? Was I don't know what to say. But you're so much more confident if you know exactly what to say, and then it's human nature just to have a general conversation in the middle. So as long as you've got an opening or a hook, as long as you've got something to say at the end, how to end the conversation. And I always think that you should end the conversation if possible, because it shows you're in charge if you look at psychology and stuff. So you end it. Listen, Chris, it's been really, really lovely to talk to you. And I know you're very busy, so I won't take up too much time. Is it okay if I call you back in 3 or 4 months? Yes. We've got an amazing newsletter that goes out, keeping you up to date on the latest legislation for your property, XYZ. Is it all right if I just add you to that? I won't sell. Great. Have a fantastic day, Chris. Lovely to speak to you. You've ended that on a positive note now. You've not taken up too much of the time. And, we know from another business I'm involved in that, 5 to 6 minutes is the optimum amount of time you should spend on a phone call in order to try and get a property for sale or for let. Any more than that, 7 minutes, it drops off a cliff. Any less than 2 or 3 minutes, it drops off a cliff. So 5, 6 minutes is the optimum time, which to most agents would be alien. They think they've got to be on for 2.5 weeks chatting to them.
Because it's only one single prospect is the way you got to look at it, right?
Yeah.
And it's that whole am I a busy fool? I had a really good conversation with Ethel or Enid. Like you say, the situations where you might want to spend 10 minutes because you're a good person with integrity, right? Yeah. But still, you need to go, well, I need to be 4 minutes on my next calls because I spent that extra bit of time doing my bit for the community, because ultimately you've got to be, it's a numbers game. It's all a funnel and a numbers game. And people don't like hearing that, but it's true. what we're trying to do, and what the reason we've done season 2 of this podcast is, how do I humanize that? How we're offering the best touch points to help me grow a profitable business, and that's what we're pushing on. So
I totally agree. It's like people don't like the fact that it's all about data and numbers, but it's not absolute. It's not either or. It can also be about the numbers, but it's how you treat those people. You can have really meaningful, empathetic, sympathetic conversations, but you know that you've got to be off the phone quite quick because you've got to make another 15, 20 calls. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. Okay, fine. Last section of the podcast for me, you've mentioned Underdog Sales. We're going to put him in the show notes, our Italian friend. I forget his Italian name, but he's really good. Who should we be following, either inside or outside the industry, to help with calling out our database, or just what to say and how to approach stuff, or even a mindset? You take it where you want, JP.
Yeah, I mean, he's really good. There's a lot of really good sort of sales type of stuff out there. Sales psychology is really good. I'd have to have a look on my Instagram as well. But if anybody wants to follow me, have a look and just go through who I follow.
Well, do you know, I'll cover it. There's a guy called Daniel G, who I love. He's a cross between Tony Robbins and a sales guy. Little guy from South America who lives in the States now, lives in Miami, shredded, tan teeth, Gucci belt. But under all of that, real talk. And his objection handles.
Is that Andy Elliott?
No, not Andy Elliott, though I do like him as well. He's a lot to be behold. We'll put Andy Elliott in the show notes as well. They're very similar. They're very, very similar. But it's that mindset, and it's the, you know, I went out with an agent the other week, and we were knocking doors, but their body language and posture was almost, they were leaving like, oh, cool, good to see you, rather than being standing proud and authoritative and going, I'm here to get your contact information. That's the point. So these guys are great. Where can we find you?
I don't want to be found. No. Just connect with me on LinkedIn, John Paul. Same on Facebook. Anybody wants to know more about prospecting, we've got a prospecting tool called prospectorpro.co.uk. You can learn more about that, how we can use AI and how we can we can deliver those insights and oversights to optimize your prospecting. So just connect on my Instagram, John Paul Business Coach. So anything like that, just get in touch.
We'll put them all in the show notes. JP, loads of value. Thank you so much for your time.
Take care, mate.